Hey, what's going on YouTube? I'm Dark Jack, and in this video I get a 34 KD on the map Meltdown using my Silence PDW. And in this video I'm going to talk about why people hate microtransactions in video games. Now when I say microtransactions, in this video I'm not going to be talking about free-to-play games. Games that are free, but you can choose to pay for things along the way. What I'm going to focus on in this video are full retail games that cost $60, but also include microtransactions and locked-on disc content as well. And free-to-play games are referred to as freemium, meaning that they're free to play, but you can pay to win along the way if you want to, or pay to have fun. And then the new model is referred to as paymium, and paymium is the merger of the retail model with the free-to-play model that includes microtransactions. So you have a full retail game, but you also include microtransactions and DLC and locked-on disc content as well. And these are games like Diablo 3, which is $60, but then you also have an auction house where the game makes money as well, which people refer to as Auction House 3 as a joke. Then you have Gears of War 3, which has all those features, and then Dead Space 3 with its microtransactions. Now the reason why people do not like microtransactions in games is not primarily because of the money. It is rather because of the idea or the concept that somebody somewhere is doing better than you at the game, not because they're more skilled than you, but because they chose to spend extra money on in-game items to give them an advantage, while you did not. That is the key. It is not money that is the issue. It is the concept and ideal behind it, that skill or fun can be bought for a purchase price that goes beyond the original game. And so you can then buy your way to happiness or success through in-game transactions. You can buy items in the game that make it easier to win or do well in that game, so that microtransactions then become a replacement or a supplement for individual skill, rather than having your individual skill dictate how well you do in the game. And that is what people do not like. And that is the way that you would phrase it in a more eloquent fashion, rather than saying, I don't like microtransactions and it's ruining gaming. Because with microtransactions, it turns fun into a commodity, and fun can be bought for a price beyond the original transaction fee. And this fun has no limit. There is no limit to the amount of microtransactions you can pay for. And so fun is turned into a commodity that can be bought, that costs an infinite amount of money that you can then spend for. And people in the gaming industry add microtransactions, and EA has said that they're going to include microtransactions in all of their games. And they do this to compensate for used game sales, because when someone buys a used game, the company that made it doesn't make any money. But if they include online passes, if they include DLC, if they include locked-on disc content and microtransactions, they can still make a profit even if the person who bought it bought the game used instead of new. So that's why companies want the new consoles to block used games and be always online. And so imagine for a moment if the game Dark Souls used microtransactions, where you could buy souls and armor for real world cash, and if you died, instead of having to go back and collect all your souls in humanity, you could instead pay a transaction fee of 50 cents or $1 to get everything back every time you died. Imagine how that would change the game. And so what would Dark Souls look like if Dark Souls 2 was being made by EA instead of Namco Bandai? So in contrast to the old style of video games, where your individual skill was the only thing that mattered, now microtransactions take a central role in how well you can do, even though they're optional. So in Dead Space 3 you can buy the best guns in the game, rather than having to forge and spend time scavenging for them and risking death. And the same is true with any microtransaction game. You can buy in-game goodies that help you out, rather than grinding for them. And so instead of your effort and dedication unlocking in-game items, it instead can be bought for a price. And if you look at Diablo 3 is the prime example of this, where how well you do in the game is directly dependent upon the gear you have, and you can buy the best gear for money, even though it's not that expensive. And you can actually buy your way to beating Inferno, which is the hardest difficulty on hardcore, if you buy gold from the real money auction house, and it costs $1 for 4 million gold. And then what you do is you exchange that gold for hardcore gold. So you trade softcore gold for hardcore gold with a player, and the going ratio is 1 to 3.5. And then you use that hardcore gold to buy awesome items in the auction house, so you never have to worry about dying. That way you could buy your way to beating Inferno on hardcore. So that's one example of how you can buy your way to victory using microtransactions. And so this is why gamers are concerned about microtransactions and their influence in gaming. So I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary, and I'll see you guys later.